Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
It is picked up by the line. Darius Slay's got it. Coming back right side 25. Picks up a block at the 30. Darius at the 40.
Drink it in, drink it in. Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Rolls to the right. Stafford throws deep. Got a man out there. End zone. Caught. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Stafford!
Drink it in, drink it in.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread.
Stafford! Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Welcome to the Detroit Koolaid, everybody. This is Griff coming to you here on a Wednesday. Another busy week for everybody. The Lions did some more moves, and just want to touch base with you on that. Once again, it is Wednesday, so sorry, guys, no weather report for you today, but just want to let you know, as long as it's pretty nice outside, everybody get outside, get a walk in, because I know, once again, it's here in Michigan, we're not allowed to really go anywhere, so take advantage of this nice weather. Get outside, play with your kids, go for a walk, do something, enjoy it before it maybe gets cold again like it's supposed to this weekend. But other than that, a few things I want to touch base on before dig into the podcast here. First thing I want to say is I know me and Derek will talk about this at a later date, but just want to say, so long, Darius Slay. It's been nice here having you on the team. Just one of those things. I was a little disappointed after they traded him. Do like what they got for him, though, and kind of reading up on what went down with the trade and how Slay kind of acted after that, kind of speaking his mind, I guess, for lack of a better term. Once again, it just puts people in different boats. Either the people either love Matt Pat or they, hate him based on that, and it just pretty much fell along those lines once again. At this point, Slay, I appreciate you being here. Loved you, man. It was me shaking your hand that actually, turned you into the type of player that you were. So I was glad that you're here. You're probably my most favorite player on that defense. I personally thought you were the best player on the defense. Other people may think different. But, I have nothing but well wishes for you out in Philadelphia. I believe you will be missed, and I'll be sad that you're gone. So, especially with no more of the "what did Slay say" type, clips that me and Derek always talk about. They were always fun to try to decipher out and figure out right there. Another thing just want to mention here is the Lions once again re-signed, Ode Abouche. Once again, the interior lineman generally kind of can use that. One of those linemen that the Lions really like, that he can play multiple positions, that flex guy, kind of fill in. I don't think he'll ever be a starter, or even if he happens to be starting for an extended period amount of time. That means the Lions' offensive line is kind of in trouble if they're down to him. So, once again, he's re-signed, just another fill-in guy. I don't think he'll be a camp body, but he could be one of those guys that is on the team. Could be one of those healthy scratches on the week. Happens on the weekends, even though they are looking to expand the roster, active roster on the weekends by a few more spots. He still could be one of those guys competing with Garnett, who they signed, Ben Schwal, another one of those guys, Kenny Wiggins, Terrell Crosby. It still sounds like Joe Dahl. Once again, there's another one of the interior linemen that the Lions have. It still sounds kind of weak for the interior on the defense or on the offensive line there. Still could be something that the Lions can look to upgrade. But that is something else that the Lions need to look at as well. One of the things I did want to talk to you about, what I just mentioned right there, was that the interior of the Lions defensive line, or offensive line, sorry about that. I think it needs to be upgraded. Derek's spoken in the past how much, Bob Quinn, how many resources he's put into it. One thing Bob Quinn did hit on was we had Glasgow here. He was a third-round pick. Derek talks about how much he actually, how much he made was. I think Derek's, if I remember, was gosh, I can't remember. I'm thinking $3 million, but I even think that's too much for how much he made while he was here. And how finding those guys who play, up to their potential, but to a certain point where you can't really overpay for the guy to keep him around here. Glasgow was good. I really liked him. It would have been nice to re-sign him, but what Denver gave him, I don't think the Lions, should have paid him. So, once again, Glasgow, another good player. Some people were disappointed that he left. I mean, I could see why it happened. So, what I want to talk about is a few guys that the Lions may look at on the interior of the offensive line. I'm not talking on, in the first round or second round, maybe like third or fourth or something is kind of what I'm looking at right there, if they were happen to go that way again. I know Derek always likes to say you don't want to pencil yourself into a certain spot, kind of like don't let the, you play the draft, don't let the draft play you. So there are a few interior guards out there that I would be interested in, maybe like in the third or fourth round, simply because I still think the Lions need to improve there, and this could be one of the spots in the draft that they could look to do that if they were extremely interested in doing that, if one of these guys fell to them, and if Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia found it necessary to take this guy, or they found the value in him. Once again, I'll just break down a few guys here that just looking at some of their tape, looking at their stuff, give you a few ideas of who the Lions may look at if they're there. Once again, the first guy I want to mention, everybody knows that listens to the podcast, I'm a big Michigan fan. So I'll bring up Ben Bradenson, the guard that was at Michigan. Once again, he's 6'5", 310 pounds. It's a good sized guard there. Nice bulk of a man. Really like the way he played at Michigan, in the Big Ten. But after looking at some of his tape, some of that stuff, there's a few things that obviously has some issues. But what I really like at first is he has good power at the point of attack. Now we have seen the Lions try to run the ball. We've seen games where they look to want to run up the middle. So always looking at one of those guys who has a good point of attack, good power that can handle the interior of the defensive line on the opposing team. I believe Ben Bradenson would be able to do that. Also, from watching him, obviously from my lazy boy, as Derek likes to say, I think he's very proficient at picking up blitzes, and it seems like defenses want to do that. They want to try to put as much pressure on Matt Stafford as possible, so they will bring the blitz. So having a guard inside that's able to pick up the linebacker or something on a twist. We've seen those where interior offensive linemen for the Lions can't get confused, and there's a free rusher, either an end or defensive tackle, just on a simple twist. But I believe Ben Bradenson is very proficient at picking that up as well. And another good thing is, we know he's a captain at Michigan. I believe he's a good leader, and that's something that could go well on this offensive line. There's a few other guys that they might want to look to. Ragnow's there. They just signed Hal. I don't know if he'll be a leader. Decker's there. He could be another guy that the offensive line looks to as a leader. But if Ben Bradenson, that could be something that he could fill into. A few of his downsides that one thing, even like watching Michigan games, watching that, just kind of picking up is that sometimes he's just not as fluid in pass protection. And, in the pros, like Derek said, is a very pass-happy game, which I believe that as well, that the Lions have the talent to be able to pass the ball. And what they need to do is keep, Matt Stafford upright. He has had the back injuries. A couple years ago, we heard about the broken back. Last year, another back injury kept him out. And, they have to keep him upright. And that's going to be the hard part if you're just not as fluid in pass protection. He doesn't have that really high-end athleticism either. So if it could be one of those things where that he has a little more difficulty getting out in front of screen plays. If he's looking to get upfield, maybe to the second level, the linebackers, something like that. It's he's okay. He's not that great at it. But maybe that's something he could maybe, I don't want to say work on, the offensive line coach for the Lions can help him with. And like I said, without that high-end athleticism, he's not that great at, being at pulling either. If you're looking for him to get around the outside, get up, 10 yards upfield to maybe get the safety or the cornerback, he might not be the guard that you're looking for right there. But, like I said, his other things that he does well, point of attack power, good at picking up blitzes, that'll help him. This could be some guy that the Lions may look to in the third round, kind of in the same mold as Graham Glasgow. Obviously they both went to Michigan, smarts and stuff like that. The next guy I was thinking of was John Simpson out of Clemson. Now, he's 6'4" and 330 pounds. Once again, that's another pretty big guy right there that the Lions could look at. Now, once again, playing at Clemson, everybody says the ACC is not that great of football talent. Clemson just pretty much dominated everybody, and I'm kind of one of those guys as well. But once again, he was there, played in the college football playoff. He did face a couple good teams in that. So, it's one of those things where, he could help as well. What I liked about him is that he's another one that's good at picking up blitzes. Seems like a lot of those teams in the South really like to do that in that conference. The NC States, the North Carolinas, the Florida States, they like to bring as much pressure as they can. They like to use those linebackers, especially Florida State. But John Simpson, I think he's pretty good at picking up the blitzes as well. Now he's another one of those guys, for his size, I think he pulled pretty well. He's going to be the guy that either blows out the defensive end or maybe like right around the edge and he looks to take out the outside linebacker on a pull. He's going to be that guy right there. He's not going to be one of those guys, once again, like I said about Bradenson, if you're looking to, 10, 15 yards downfield for him to, follow behind him and take out the safety or something like that. He's not going to be that guy. He's going to be agile enough to get off the offensive line and take out the maybe like the end or just the first guy around the corner, generally your outside linebacker, something like that. And so that could help if that's what you're looking for as well, if you're the Lions. And he's played in both guard positions. So once again, you're looking at the right or the left guard. If you're not enamored with Joe Dahl or Wiggins or Bushi or Crosby or whoever fills out, he could be the guy that that fills in at either spot. Next thing is what I see in his tape, sometimes he can play a little high, and when you play a little high, you lose the pad level. I know everybody likes to laugh about that. We joke about that, but it means a lot, especially in the guard for when you're getting pushed back, and that can happen to him at times. And another thing, like I said, he's another one of those guys that he's quick on the pull if he's going a short distance, so that could really, it also affects him, once again, like Brennan getting out in front of the screen. If you're looking for him to get out there to, get out and knock down a guy in front of the screen, he just doesn't do that very well either. So, like, Derek always says, he's not that great at that either. But he's one of those guys that, I thought he was a smart offensive lineman. Once again, short distances, stuff like that, can play either guard. He's another guy that you could look for in the third round. That's my thought process on the guy. Another guy out there, this was one of the bigger guards in the draft, and that's Logan Stenberg. He's out of Kentucky. Now, this guy's 6'6" and 320 pounds. I mean, that's a pretty big guard right there, especially at 6'6". Now, watching his tape, I'm thinking, wow, 6'6", that's a big guy to go out and, have at guard. But, he's one of those guys. I know Derek likes to talk about him. I like to talk about him too, especially an offensive lineman. He's your meat and potatoes type of offensive lineman right there. He's very workmanlike, but he's not spectacular at what he does. I mean, he's going to go out there. He's going to be one of those guys, if you don't notice him, it means he's doing his job. But, sometimes he like I said, he's not spectacular, and he can't get beat. He's a pretty tough guy. Watching him, once again, the SEC, a lot of people say it's the best football conference out there. Play a lot of good competition. He was at the University of Kentucky, and Kentucky liked to run the ball an awful lot. They had one of those mobile quarterbacks too that did a lot of quarterback runs. So he also did a lot of blocking for him as well. So he had to be a tough guy there on the offensive line. One thing, actually, after reading his measurables, one thing I really didn't like about him is his shorter arms. I know some people will be like, well, short arms don't mean a whole lot. But generally, when you're a guard and you have short arms, you'll have a little more trouble steering your guys opening the holes in the offensive line. And especially when you're 6'6", you think, a guy with longer arms, but for his size, he has shorter arms. So it's kind of, I don't want to say odd body types, but he just, it really, his arms, I don't want to say match his height. So that could be one of those things that really affects him if the Lions were to take him, opening those holes. He's going to block somebody, and then the running back's going to have to pick which side to go to, as opposed to Stenberg pushing the guy opening the hole that way. And like I said, with him being taller, it just leads to a higher center of gravity. Once again, that's going to affect it's going to affect your pad level. I mean, you play, can lead to you playing a little high at times, not keeping low. And at 6'6", I mean, if you're going to be a 6'6" offensive guard, you better have a really tall quarterback. It's a good thing Matt Stafford is, because if you get stood up, you're going to have a hard time. The quarterback's going to have a hard time, seeing over you for the throwing lane. So that's the tough part right there. But Stenberg, he's one of those guys that if the Lions were to look to get him, he might be like a fourth rounder, I'm thinking. Maybe even a fifth round. But, fourth round, I believe, is his high water mark right there. Last guy I want to talk about, just don't want to belabor the whole show on offensive guards. I know they're interesting, but they're not that great. The last guy is Darrell Williams. He's the offensive guard out of Mississippi State. Now, he's a little smaller. He's 6'2" and about 310 pounds right there. Now, once again, Mississippi State playing in the SEC, especially the SEC West. There's a lot of good teams out there, so he's another one of those guys. Had to be, a tough guy, for lack of a better term. So, after watching some of his tape, what I liked about him was that for his size, he was really good with handling the one-on-one blocks. I thought he did that pretty well, getting out in front, the guy right in front of him, because maybe other opposing coaches thought they could overpower him, right in front of him, but he's really good at, handling the one-on-one block. I think I thought he did pretty well. Also, picking up blitzes. That's another thing too. Once again, he's got to be able to do that in the pros, as picking up the blitz. So, and it seemed like I thought he did that pretty good. And especially, like I said, with him being a little shorter, the one-on-one blocks, I thought he handled himself, pretty well against the power rushers. Like I said, maybe coaches thought they could just overpower him simply based on his size. But he's pretty strong for his size, so I really like that. A couple of things I did notice, though, but when he was trying to get out to the second level, he's not that great. He just doesn't seem that mobile. Not going to be that guy to pull around, the end, once again, get out in front. And even I thought he had some trouble sometimes, if they were double teaming and he was the guy to, peel off and move out to the second level to get the linebacker. It seemed like he, was a little slower at that. Maybe it's just his footwork, the technique they taught him down there at Mississippi State, but that's just what it seemed like that I saw right there. And like I said, with his footwork, he wasn't that great in pass protection. Once again, I thought he was a lot better run blocker than he was a pass blocker, especially in passing, having pass protection in the pros. That can be one of those things that, once again, you have to do it, and I don't know if that can be coached up at that. Sometimes it can be. Some guys pick up on it, pretty well based on what you had to do in college, but yeah, I don't know. He just his tape. It just seemed like his footwork and the pass protection. It just wasn't that great. So once again, he's one of those guys. Looking at him, I see him more of like a fourth round guy. That's me. These are four guys I was looking at, and based on if the Lions were to take him, and where they were at, the guy I'd be least impressed with if they got him even in the fifth round, like I said, that would be Logan Stenberg. He's a mountain of a man. It just he's he's the meat and potatoes guy, but having trouble against having trouble steering defenders, opening the holes. Lions are looking to improve the run game, and he might have a little more difficulty with that. I believe all these guards would be really good. I want to say, like, for lack of a better term, playing in a phone booth. They're all going to be strong at doing that, and I believe that if they were to get Bredesen, Simpson, maybe like I said, high, in the third. Some people may think that's a little too high, but Williams in the fourth. I think Stenberg may be a little bit of reach in the fourth. I could see him going in the fourth to some teams, depending on what they're looking at, but I see him more of as a fifth round guy right there. So those would be four guys that might interest the Lions right there if they're looking to fill that position. Once again, they have done some signings. They had Bo Benchwall as the free agent pickup last year, the undrafted rookie free agent that they pretty much hid on the practice squad all year, or not on the practice squad, on the roster, because if he would have been on the practice squad, I believe some other team would have definitely have taken him. So with that being said, what we're going to do here now is we're going to take a pause for the cause. So once again, we appreciate everybody listening to our sponsors, and that way we'll come right back, and we got something a little different for you this time. So give us a listen. Okay, everybody, we're back, and looking at it, what I really want to do here on the Wednesday show was we're going to do a little bit of a throwback segment and kind of go. I'm going to play some old clips for you guys, some of our past draft podcasts. It's always interesting to listen to what me and Derek thought in the past, and where we were at, how high we were on guys, what we're looking at, our thoughts, and our thoughts were on certain guys, going into the draft. So we're going to do that right here. I mean, the draft is coming up. Now we are doing our draft prep. I know Derek will, joke about it, but I am doing my draft prep a little slowly. Derek focuses on a little more than me, but it's fine. Why don't you give these segments a listen? You guys, I know some of these guys, you'll get a good laugh out of it. I'm sure you'll hear some of our tags, and the bell will be there as well. So give it a listen. That'll finish out the show. So I just wanted to let everybody know, once again, the draft is coming up. Listen to these clips, and just remember, everybody, we are the Detroit Lions, so make sure you all drink it in, man.
I'm going to do what I think is right, and I'm going to kick it to the Big Hughes to give us his opinion, hopefully talk us down, hopefully give us some optimism here as the Detroit Koolaid drinkers, and talk about the number 8 selection by the Detroit Lions, TJ Hawkinson. Hughes, I know this wasn't really a pick you wanted, but give us your initial thoughts, what you think now, where we're headed with this thing.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. I might not have enjoyed the pick to start off with, but the blood runs deep for the Hawkamania.
Oh, yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, you're right. It's, going back to the moment of when the pick was made, the anticipation was there, and then it's just like TJ, and like, oh. Just one of those things, right? But you know what? Realistically, I've had 2.5 hours to kind of digest it and think about it. Maybe at the end of the day, we're going to kick ourselves for not taking Ed Oliver, but realistically, we know this team needed weapons, and they got a weapon today in a position that they needed. I think Hawk's going to be good. He's a good fit for the offense. Bevel had a plethora of tight ends when he was in Seattle, so I think just at the end of the day, it was the smart pick to make. And you know what? I'll give it a B plus.
Okay, some instant reacts there. Hey, Grifka, do you need any ice for your lip that you probably just bit right there? Okay.
No, reasonable minds.
Oh, wait, hold on.
That's fine.
The bell was out of reach. I know I'm going to need the bell here for your retort. So for those of you that know Grifka, you pretty much know the take. And those that don't like it, you might want to get the earbuds out. Grifka, I turn it over to you. The number 8 pick, a tight end. You've talked about this. We've heard you. Go ahead, and I will have the bell ready and cut you off if needed. Go ahead, sir.
It fills a position in need.
Go ahead.
It fills a position in need. There you go. I mean, it's like, what else can I say? I mean, like you said, we've kicked this dead horse a million times, and they just go take another tight end. It's like, fine, whatever. You think he's one of the top 5 players, and yes, and I've had some Twitter discussions as well with people, and I've actually, some people are like, oh, you're one of those guys, or like, go root for somebody else. Fine, whatever. Go root for another team, fine. It's like that's why the Lions are the Lions, because people that say go root for somebody else, you guys are happy with mediocrity. Fine, whatever. You live with it. I mean, whatever. You got a tight end in the first round, and the top 10, number 8, that from everybody saying like they got some great offers for him, and like, no, we're gonna stand pat and get this tight end. So, okay, go ahead. Okay, you got a tight end. You filled the position in need. Okay, congratulations.
That's a bell for the congratulations. Is that all you got, Griff Guy? I've been waiting to argue with for hours. That's all you got?
Oh, I'll wait for you. I'll wait for your sunshine and rainbows on this guy about how his bust is going to be in Canton 5 years right after he retires, and then we can discuss. That was just my quick take.
Okay, so that's all you got. Is pretty much what you're saying.
Right now.
All right, Hughes, is it okay if I go?
Yeah, let him have it.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to say off the top that I've defended this pick in the past. It was not my first choice. But with all that being said, I'm going to tell Grifka why this pick makes a lot of sense and why it's a pick for our Detroit Lions. So you should actually think about it, use a brain rather than just say, oh, it's a tight end. I hate it. Oh, it's a first round tight end. Who does that? Well, you got to look at the player. So we needed a blocking and catching type tight end. We got that. We got a guy at basically no money. I looked up his contract. We have him for 5 years at, maybe $12 million, something like that, with a little bit of a signing bonus. So the contract's right. I mean, the guy's young. He was a redshirt sophomore. I just think he's such a safe pick. And if you ever listen to Bucky Brooks and DJ, they always say to win in the draft, you hit doubles. To me, this is a double type pick. This guy's never going to be a world beater, but he's also never going to be in the police blotter. He's never going to, let your team down. He's going to be solid across the board. I mean, they probably thought they couldn't find a guy like this in any other avenue, free agency, trade, whatever it may be. You're getting a 21-year-old meat and potatoes tight end that can catch the football. I mean, you saw those highlights in the block game. He's just taking people and, as we like to say, put him in the ground. You got to love that. We haven't had a person like that forever. And what I'm waiting for you, Grifka, is to talk about this player. You say you've seen him. You just say, oh, it's a luxury pick. Do you look at the player whatsoever, or you just see that he has a TE at the end of his name and you just quit on him? Because when you actually look at the player, and then what I've always said is wait till he plays football the season and he's just a part-time guy that makes a few catches here or there. Yeah, you can rag on it and then you can say, see, I told you so. But before this guy plays any downs, for you just to hate it because of the position he plays, I think is ridiculous. So I would have went with Ed Oliver. I said that on Twitter. I didn't really want a tight end, but I can see why they wanted one. And now he's just got to go out and play football and make plays, move chains, score touchdowns. And, he's got sticky hands, all that type of stuff. So I'm going to support it because it's my football team, and it is a position they sort of had to fill. Now we're pretty deep with different types of tight ends, and now we got to work the next 6 rounds, the next 8-9 picks we have. Plenty of time to fill corners, defensive players, wideouts, whatever you want to do after that. So that's what I got for you.
Okay. Well, just to retort on your one point that you said that he's never going to be a world beater. Okay, I can live with you're never going to be a world beater in the 20s. I can't live with you're never going to be a world beater in the 8. These are supposed to be your stud guys. This is a top 10 pick. And to say, you watch him, once again, yes, I saw him more than just a couple games. I mean, he played in Big Ten, so I don't wait for people to tell me this guy's good and then go look at their videos. I see some of our games on Saturday. It happens. So I just don't wait for some talking head on NFL Network or Mel Kiper like you always use for me to say, this guy's good, go look at him. No, I watch their games as well. So when you're like, oh, look at him block all these guys. Yeah, I saw those highlights too, how he's beating up the defensive end from Indiana and how he whooped up on the guy from Illinois. So, okay. I mean, I know you've picked on me for saying stuff he beat up on this crap team or look where he played. Okay, he's playing against the dregs of the Big Ten. They showed us highlights. Okay, cool. I got that. He can block against Indiana and Illinois. Cool, I got it.
My goodness.
Anyways, so when you're like, did you look at the guy? And I retorted back to you at one point. You're like, look at the guy, how he fits his team. And I said, well, look at all those other tight ends that they just showed on the NFL Network. How there was one guy who had a decent career, Vernon Davis, that they picked in the top 10. So I guess my question to you would be are you saying when those teams drafted, when the Jets drafted Kyle Brady and the Cleveland Browns drafted Kellen Winslow and the Oakland Raiders took Ricky Dudley.
Oh, come on.
Well, the Lions took Eric Ebron. Are you saying those tight ends didn't fit their need in the top 10? Or they didn't fit their offense is what you're trying to tell me?
What I'm trying to tell you is I don't give a crap about Dudley or the other 10 names you named off. I care about
It's
TJ.
a trend, though. These guys
What's
do
a
not.
trend?
All I'm saying is a tight end does not live up to your stud position in the top 10.
Oh,
It just doesn't happen.
God.
These are supposed to be your game changers. Your tight end that you're only going to use half the time, he's not going to be your game changer. I mean, they're on there saying he's not even Gronkowski. Oh, they had Gronkowski. He knows what it is with tight ends Gronkowski. And people are like, well, he's not Gronkowski. Okay, so he's not Gronkowski. So why are you taking this guy in the top 10? I'm not saying he won't be a decent player. He'll be a fine player, maybe in the league for a number of years. But is he going to be your game changer? I guess my question to you is, not even a rookie. Let's say he starts to get in the prime of his career, his 4th, 5th year. What type of stats are you looking for this guy? You always say, like, if he puts up numbers, it doesn't matter where he's taken or what position, if he delivers. What type of stats are you looking for out of this tight end, taken at the number 8 position? Touchdowns, yards, catches.
Okay,
just
can
ballpark.
I talk?
What would make it worthwhile? Yeah, because I'm giving you time to think of a number.
I don't need any time.
Think
Griff,
of your numbers.
I could have answered 10 minutes ago. Hughes, do you want to say
Okay, go
anything
ahead.
before I light Grifka up?
No, go ahead. I'll take the seconds.
Okay. Hey, Grifka. So you named off all these scrub tight ends that didn't work out, and you also said your top 8 is supposed to be your studs. Aren't you the guy that always tells me their prospects until they do something? So last time I checked, just because you're picked in the top 8 doesn't make you a Pro Bowler. Secondly, aren't you the guy that always says, "Oh, stats. I don't care about stats. It's about wins. It's about this, that, and the other." Like, I could care less what this guy's stat line is if he's moving chains, scoring touchdowns, if Matt Stafford has a connection with him, if he doesn't, I don't know, drop the football like your boy Eric Ebron. Like, I think we're going to be pretty happy with that type of football player, considering the last time I checked, too, our team's not empty. We have a really good defense already. Yeah, we can add to it, but we have a good up-and-coming defense, and we have playmakers on the outside, a good running back, and a quarterback that's under contract. So what did you need if you were going to add offensively? The big gaping hole was a dual-type tight end and a slot receiver. So they took the dual-type tight end. So you want numbers? I don't care about numbers. TJ Hawkinson, again, is a mean potatoes fill for this team that hopefully is going to bring us W's, hopefully bring us playoff wins, and hopefully be part of a team that's going to do more than just win one game in the playoffs to go farther. That's what I hope for. What'd you think? Give me an overall, and then we'll kind of break it down from there. What'd you think about what the Lions did? Rounds 1 through 7.
Well, we already know what I thought about the Lions' first round draft pick. Once again, we hashed that out before. So I guess if you really want me to bring that up again, I'll just say all it does is it fills a need. Okay, so there. That's what we'll go with that one right there. As for their second round pick, gosh, to be honest with you, I mean, I know I said I watch a lot of football, but to be honest, I've never seen that guy play it down. I couldn't tell you anything about him. I had to do some looking up after this guy. I had to, pull up some video of him afterwards, which I did to see exactly what he did and some of his stats right there. So once again, I'm still not really sold on the guy. I don't know. He plays in a smaller conference out west. So he did rack up a lot of tackles though. So I guess the rumor was that New England was looking at him as well. So I guess we'll have to live with that and go on from there.
How do you pronounce his name, Grifka?
How do you pronounce his name?
Pronounce his name for the people. Make sure that you know what you're doing, talking about. It was
Tavai is his last name. I can slaughter his first name or whatever. Jelani
Tavai. Okay,
What's that?
Continue. Jelani Tavai, continue. Try not to put the people to sleep, man. Come on, let's move this thing along.
Well, I know they are. They're hanging on the edge of their seat. So that's all I'm telling you right now. Then their next pick, Will Harris. To me, I mean, I heard just things about him. Big team leader, captain of the team, big hitter. To me, I'm afraid he may just be another Miles Killebrew. I mean, I did see probably about 4 different Boston College games. Didn't watch a whole lot of video on him, but it seemed like the games that he was in. I mean, I didn't see a whole lot about him. So I don't know if he's just another Miles Killebrew or not. So
What do you mean? You watched the games, Grifka? What did that one game tell you that you maybe saw this guy?
Well, I probably saw about 4 Boston College games last year. I didn't watch a whole lot of Boston College. I did see him play a few games in the ACC.
Why is he Miles Killebrew to you?
Big hitting safety. That's what Miles Killebrew was when they drafted him. Big hitting safety. Guy's supposed to be a strong hitting, big hitting safety. That's what Miles Killebrew was. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
okay.
Do you know
that
a bunch of different stuff right there?
Do
Okay.
you know Will Harris runs like a 4.4 or lower? I mean, I don't think Killebrew was in that range. I mean, was Killebrew a team captain, team leader for 4 years or whatever it was? I don't think so. But good comparison. Keep going.
Okay. Will Harris also drops his head and misses tackles, and the guy busted. He does. That's one of the big knocks on him as well. He misses open field tackles. So there you go. Anyways, I know you probably didn't see that nugget because you don't look at the warts of the player. I mean, all you do is see the sunshines and rainbows. So anyway, Austin Bryant, the defensive end out of Clemson. I like that pick there. It's one of the, besides filling in need, I think Austin Bryant was probably one of the more underrated guys on that Clemson defensive line. Other guys on that defensive line got a lot of pub. But I really like the Austin Bryant pick. Warrior, once again, we were all tagging this guy on the second round pick, getting him where they got him. I was, very, very happy with that. Travis Fulgham, now you're going to make fun of me. I only saw him play one game, and that happened to be the Virginia Tech game. And it seemed like every time a big play was made, he was the guy on the other end of, catching the ball. I mean, he's fast. He runs good routes. That pick right there, I think in a couple years he could. I'm not saying he's going to be dominant, but I do believe he could be a really good number 2 for this team. Ty Johnson out of Maryland. I think he's got some speed. Maryland. He was one of the guys that had a big game against Ohio State last year with his good speed. So. I don't know if that guy's more of the Theo Riddick replacement that we kind of both talked about or not, but I know he can also be a kick returner and punt returner as well.
Did you watch that game, Grifka, Maryland, Ohio State?
Yeah, because that was one I like to watch Ohio State hoping they lose. So when that game was one of those games like, I started watching it probably midway through the first quarter. I'm like, hey, Maryland's still in this, so I'll flip to it and I started watching it. So yeah, I did watch that one. Georgia tight end, Nuada, we had talked about this guy. If he's anything on the team, he's just going to be a red zone threat. I don't believe he has a whole lot of speed. He's a big body. I believe he'd be able to use that in the red zone, but maybe that's the same thing that we got Hawkinson for. So I'm not quite sure about that one. And then their last one, the defensive tackle out of Arizona. He's a big body. He may be the replacement for Snacks in a couple of years. I don't know if that's what they drafted him for, but big body, pretty quick. He's pretty quick off the ball, but that might be one of those things. He may not really see the field for a couple of years. So overall, I mean, first couple draft picks wasn't kind of about, but the middle of the draft, Bryant, Warrior, Fulgham, Johnson, really like those picks.
I'm glad, though, that you've seen Will Harris. I'm sure you watched a lot of Clemson games. I'm sure you caught a couple Penn State games and some Ty Johnson. So those will probably be your faves because, you watch the games, okay? But just because we haven't seen the guy from Hawaii, Grifka, doesn't mean anything. Yeah, he was off the radar. Everybody heard my review. If you didn't, you can go back and listen where I broke it down for 45-some minutes talking about these guys. Some of Grifka's nuggets, I'm sure, came from that podcast that he just gave you. But, yeah, man, what I thought about this draft in a really small capsule was like it was a scheme draft and it was a leadership draft and it was a measurables / swag kind of draft where these guys can run fast, they can hit, they're big, they're long, and they fit this scheme. So I think that they weren't the names of the fans except for a couple people, but hey. I've heard a good point today on the radio and whatnot. People were saying, remember when Matt Millen was drafting all these names and we were getting A's and B's and then those guys ended up being out of the league in 2 years? Like, maybe it's time that we start taking people that are a little off the radar, but they can play football and can fit the scheme and have upside. So I feel better about it the later it's gone. I mean, I'm not going to, head fake you. Like there were times in the draft where I was like, took who or why they reached for that guy. But, when you start digging into it a little bit more, it makes more sense. So I think there's some upside in this draft. There's some diamonds, hopefully, in the rough. TJ Hawkinson is a guy that I have no worries about as far as like his baseline and some of his skills, but I'm curious where the ceiling is, and can this guy be premier, or will he just be, better than average for most of his career? I think that'll really make a big difference with this draft. But hey, man, like you say, I thought Bobby Quinn and Matt Pat looked excited about the picks. I'm going to trust in them and think that these guys need to not only fit our scheme but our culture. Hopefully these are culture guys, a good handful of these, and hopefully they can stick on the roster. So that's my quick take.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions. Drink it in, man.